and welcome to another Keysight Visibility Tech Tip video. In this session, we're going to be talking about deduplication. This will actually be split into two separate videos. The first video is going to talk about why we need deduplication, and the second video is going to show us how to configure deduplication on a live packet broker. If you'd like to go right to the configuration video, there is a link in the description. So why do duplicate packets matter? Really what it comes down to is, where do we capture packets in our network? There's multiple ways to capture packets. So if you think about the typical packet capture strategies, you've got north-south tapping, meaning I put taps at the edge of my network, at the core of my network, and somewhere in a data center. And so I'm going to be capturing packets in those three locations. I also have the concept of east-west monitoring, which means I want to be capturing packets that don't leave an area of the network. So think of a data center where I've got an application server that talks to a web server. I need to be able to monitor that traffic to see if there's any intruders or something in my network that I want to capture. And to do that, I need a tap that lives just at the data center but doesn't monitor the edge or my core. And finally, you've got span ports, which, depending on the configuration of a span port, you might see multiple copies of the same packet just because of the way the span port is configured. And typically, if you have a well-developed monitoring strategy, you're going to have some combination of these three methods of monitoring your network. And that means duplicate packets. So if you have a comprehensive visibility strategy, there's typically duplicate packets on your network. So why does this matter? It really comes down to what's consuming the packet stream, and that's typically our tools. And so some tools have problems receiving and decoding duplicate packets. It breaks the way that they can do their analytics and actually provide you the value that they're setting out to do. Now, most of these tools have some sort of deduplication built into the tool, which is all well and good as long as that tool doesn't get overloaded. But if you overload a tool, I'm thinking you've got a 10 gig interface and we're tapping in 5 or 6 different places and we've got more than 10 gigs of traffic to feed to that tool, then the deduplication on that tool is not going to work because it's dropping packets before it ever receives them. So in many cases, it makes sense to do deduplication on your visibility fabric. Remove the duplicates before packets are delivered to the tools, and this helps you control the amount of money you need to spend on those tools. Larger capacity tools that can handle 25 gig, 40 gig, or 100 gigs of traffic tend to be a lot more expensive, and so performing deduplication on your visibility fabric helps you control those costs. So with Keysight, we do deduplication a little bit differently than our competitors. We do dedupe in hardware, which means that we do not drop packets. We can perform deduplication at line rate for all packet sizes. We actually have the ability to determine what we consider a duplicate, meaning I can ignore certain headers so that MAC addresses or IP addresses can change as the packets flow through the network, but if the payload stays the same, then it's considered a duplicate and we can remove duplicate packets. Additionally, we can set up time-based or memory-based configuration of our deduplication engine as well. So at the end of the day, you'll find that Keysight has the most flexible deduplication because we can configure it any place in our packet broker, we perform at line rate, and we have granular control of what we consider a duplicate. In the next session, we'll show you how to configure these settings of deduplication.